Jordan Hicks, Michael Wacha, Joey Votto. Let's discuss all three on Fantasy Baseball today in 5. Welcome into FBT in 5 on Tuesday, June 20th. I am Frank Sample, joined by Scott White, and we don't talk about bullpens very much here on the 5-Minute Podcast. But I feel like we should talk about Jordan Hicks. He has a save 3 days in a row. He averaged 101.9 miles per hour on the sinker on Monday. He had a max of 104. He's 22% rostered. This is just intuition, Scott. It's a feeling that I have, but I kind of feel like Jordan Hicks can take this closer role and just run with it. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, it's not like the Cardinals have had a set closer all year. I think it's partly a philosophical thing. Ryan Helsley, before he got hurt, dealing with the forearm injury now, he was, I think, pretty clearly their most trusted reliever. But sometimes they'd use him earlier, so Giovanni Gallegos would come in and get the save. Okay. I think the presumption based on that was with Helsley down, Gallegos would just settle into that role. But that hasn't happened. I mean, 2 of these 3 save chances, Gallegos worked the 8th and Hicks the 9th. And it's gone so swimmingly that maybe you're right. I mean, Hicks was trending to be the closer in the past. His career high is only 14 saves, but he's had some health issues, always has thrown very hard. And maybe he'll really take to this role. My biggest hesitation with that is he entered the day with a 4.15 ERA and a 1.52 WHIP. So he has to keep pitching well for that to become a reality, and recent evidence would suggest that's a long shot. But he does throw very hard, so maybe he can keep doing it. If nothing else, he's worth a short-term pickup in leagues where saves are scarce.
All right, that is Jordan Hicks. Let's move over to Michael Wacha, who delivered another quality start at the Giants. 6 innings, 2 runs, 0 strikeouts for Michael Wacha in this one. And want to present him as a sell-high candidate here, Scott, because this is now 2 starts in a row where the velocity has been down across the board, over a mile per hour on each of his pitches. And he's got a 2.9 ERA. I do think there is going to be some regression coming soon for Michael Wacha. Do you think it's possible? Is it realistic to sell him for another viable fantasy player?
I don't know that it's possible for me to do that or you to do that with the caliber of person we play against. But if you play in a league with a bunch of people who don't listen to podcasts like this one, then I do think it is possible, especially since this is an environment still where pitching is among the most coveted assets. And here, particularly consistency at starting pitcher, because there have been so many extremes up and downs, even from really good pitchers. And you got a guy here in Wacha who is allowed 2 earned runs or fewer in 8 straight starts. And usually it's been fewer. Usually it's been 0 during that 8 start stretch, which is why his overall numbers look the way they do. I agree regression is likely, and it's worth shopping him, particularly if you're targeting the person in your league who's still in the race, but is really hurting for pitching. And just aim for the best hitter who you think you can reasonably get for him. Aim a little higher than you think you can reasonably get, and just to see what happens, and maybe work your way back from there. Okay. Obviously, you'd have to have pretty good pitching yourself to try that, but it's worth trying because it seems unlikely he's going to sustain this. And yet, I will remind everybody that Wacha did have a 3.32 ERA last year, managed to sustain that when it seemed like he wouldn't be able to. So he may just be kind of good in a way that's hard to pin down.
All right, let's wrap up with the Cincinnati Reds. Don't look now. They have won 9 games in a row, this time with the help of their longtime legend, Joey Votto. He made his return. He went 2 for 3 with a walk and his first homer of the season, had 3 batted balls of at least 102 miles per hour. 39 years old, Scott. I think we have to keep expectations in check here. 2 years ago, he did hit 36 home runs, 11% rostered, more of a deep league play, but do you think there's anything here with Joey Votto?
It's possible. He seemed like he was fading prior to that 2021 season where he came through with 36 home runs. Always a very smart hitter who's constantly thinking about ways to improve. So to a certain extent, we have to respect that. And the fact that he did have 3 very hard hit balls, the home run was actually the softest of those 3, hit more than 102 miles per hour, I think is encouraging. He was batting 173 during his time in AAA, rehabilitating for the 2 surgeries. And the Reds, of course, have Christian Encarnacion Strand waiting in the wings. He's gotten some time at third base, has gotten some time in the outfield, but he's primarily a first baseman as well. And as good as he's been at AAA, I'm kind of hoping Votto doesn't continue what he started here on Monday. I kind of hope he fades so that we can get Encarnacion Strand up sooner than later. The first place Reds could certainly use all the offense they could get. But if Encarnacion Strand isn't available to you and you won't want to take a flyer on Votto, it's not the worst idea. Just keep your expectations grounded.
All right. For more extensive fantasy baseball coverage, listen to the Fantasy Baseball Today podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, the Audacy app, or anywhere else podcasts are found. Thanks for listening to Fantasy Baseball Today in 5, and we'll be back again tomorrow. Bye-bye.